What's up? It's Walt Pegues with Sixers Brawl, along with my brother Darnell Turner. Nelly, how you
Yeah,
feeling today?
man, and that's all I gotta say. Beautiful day. I'm feeling good. I can't complain. We got Daryl Morey in the house. He's out here making moves. I got nothing else to say, man. I think the Sixers we making some good strides, man. I didn't see this. I didn't see a clear path at the end of the bubble after we got swept by Boston. So I mean, all this stuff that's happened in the last couple of hours, it's been fabulous.
It's a good day to be a Sixers fan, man. You know, basketball is back in full force. Today is draft day when we're recording. Doc Rivers at the helm, Daryl Morey at the helm, and I'm excited, man. I'm real excited to see what's in store for us in the 2020-2021 season. We coming off a disappointing year. Like you said, I didn't know really what to expect during the bubble and following the bubble, but things have moved quickly. You know, the turnaround has been really quick. Next month we'll be, into the thick of the season already. So I'm real excited about that. I guess on the
Yeah.
Sixers Brawl, we're just gonna kick it off with what's going on right now, right? We're recording. The second round of the NBA draft is going on. We're out of round one. Tyrese Maxey is in the house. I'm a big Tyrese Maxey fan myself. Just tell me your thoughts on that Sixers first pick.
Uh, I like the move. Really thinking about it, I do like what Maxi brings to the team. I was a little worried, skeptical at first about the 29% 3-point shooting, but he does have a pretty solid form. I think he can work on that. He shoots 83% from the free throw line, so that tells me that his form isn't broken. He doesn't have a broken shot, so I definitely think that's something that we can work with. And like you said, when we drafted him, he goes and gets his own bucket. He has potential to be a three-level scorer, which is something that we don't have on the roster at all. So I think Morey bringing in guys that can do multiple things, that can score, play off the ball, play on the ball, shoot. So I think that's everything that we need to complement Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And I don't know why it took this long to start building pieces around them like this, but we're finally here. So all you can do is be happy that we're finally moving in that right direction. But as a prospect, he brings a lot of energy on defense too. So to be able to have somebody that can go get a bucket, play off ball, and play defense, play with a lot of energy, that's something that I'm really excited for, and I think the Sixers should be excited for too.
Yeah, better late than never to get some guys to surround your stars with, right? So I'm real excited about the pick. Just last week I was talking about Maxey coming into this. I think he's my favorite prospect out of this class overall. And it's like you said, it's just his ability to get a bucket, his ability to play tough. I think he's a Doc Rivers guy. He embodies Philadelphia. He's a tough guy. He has that grit. He's also just fearless in the way he plays the game. I think that him next to Ben Simmons is great just because he's not a passing point guard. That's Ben. Ben's the playmaker, but
Yeah,
Maxey, he'll take some pressure off of Ben in terms of ball handling. He could be a secondary playmaker, but this is his ability to create his own shot, like you said, that really was hurting the Sixers last year. They didn't have a guy that could go get his own bucket. Once Jimmy left, it was kind of like, what do we do now? When your best player is a center, you're kind of limited
yeah,
on offense just because of the way the NBA is now. You need a guy that can create his own shot. And Embiid, as great as he is, he still needs other guys to be able to do that and get him in positions to play. So I think Maxey is a great fit. I thought he would probably go earlier, so I was happy that he fell to us at 21. So I think we got a steal there. But I'm real excited to see how Doc Rivers can get these guys together.
yeah, man. I'm super excited. Just in everything in general, Doc, the new ownership, the way we're building the team now, it's just all exciting to see. Last season was really down for a lot of Sixers fans and for the city of Philadelphia. So, everything's looking up from here right now. And like you said, I think Maxey, he's built for the city. I think he'll win the fans over with his play on both ends of the court. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. So I mean, the next thing I guess is Doc Rivers, man. He's the head guy now. Everyone in Philly, we've all had different reactions and different thoughts with the Doc hire, but overall, I think most of us are just happy that the Brett Brown experiment is over, right? So Brett, not many guys could do what Brett Brown done. Go through the process and then lead his team into the playoffs. Like that was a roller coaster, career. in that short span for Brett Brown. But he did help develop guys like Ben, help develop guys like Embiid. So it was, a bittersweet thing at the end. But I think overall now I'm starting to accept, all right, Doc is here. So I'm excited about the future. But me and you, I know we kind of had differing views in terms of our initial thoughts
Yeah.
of Doc Rivers. So, give me your take on what was going through your mind when Doc landed in Philly.
Well, when they first were in talks to, try to get Doc to come to Philly, you were in the back of my head a little bit. You always call him overrated. So I'm like, you know what? After he just blew this 3-1 lead. I'm like, Walt might be right. He might be a little overrated. That might not be the direction that we should go towards. But then I had to sit back and really think about it. And it's like, I still think at worst he's like a top 5 to 10 coach in the league. I don't think there's too many guys that you'd say I'm taking over Doc Rivers, every day of the week. And with the other coaching options that were out there, I mean, we were looking like we were about to take Mike D'Antoni. And, ever since then, now he's not really, he's an assistant now in Brooklyn with Steve Nash. So, I think we dodged a bullet with Mike D'Antoni. I think that would have been an odd fit with him and Embiid and Ben and, guys that don't really shoot the ball and need to be in the paint. So, but I really like this Doc move. I think once we got him, I figured the organization was going in the right direction. I think he's somebody that commands respect. One thing a lot of his players talk about, they know what their role is going into the season, going into games. And I think that's something based off reports that Sixers players, a lot of times role players didn't know their role. And that's something that, we won't have to worry about in Philadelphia now with Doc. And I just think the culture now that we're about to start building is something that can really be a championship culture.
Yeah, and I think that's the win in the situation is just Doc is such a respected guy in the league, both on the court, off the court. And I think, creating some type of structure in our organization is kind of what we've been lacking. Creating an identity. We've been lacking an identity, right? The Sixers, the fans, we have an identity. The city has an identity. But what was the Sixers' identity as a team these last few years? And I don't think we ever, understood what that was. So I think Doc Rivers is a guy who's so respected. He's a guy who's, been in championships. He's a guy who's coached superstars, right? So he can build that culture. And I think he would, create, something good that we've been missing for a long time, and I think we were lacking that with Brett Brown. But kind of like you said, when you started off, I'm not the biggest Doc Rivers fan, just in terms of his on-court performance as a coach. Again, I think he's a great guy. Yeah, I think he's a great leader of men, but he has always underachieved, in my opinion, right? And I'm just looking at the Clippers just last year. Of course, the pandemic happened. Of course, the bubble was no one expected that to happen. But that Clippers team with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard coming over, it was kind of at least Western Conference or bust for me. I mean, they didn't even get there. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't even get there. How much is that on Doc? How much is that on, just the team not being able to get up and get ready to play in the bubble? So, and then even his earlier years of the Clippers, I'm a big Chris Paul fan, that. So with that team with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, Matt Barnes, Jamal Crawford, they had so many pieces in place, and to not even get to the Western Conference Finals, you know what I mean? So, like, how much of that is on Doc Rivers? I don't know, but for some reason, he just always has underachieved with so much talent. So it scared me a bit, but it is an upgrade over Brett Brown, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think, with coaches, it's always hard for me. I go back and forth. I never know really when to blame them for a particular playoff series loss or when to blame the front office, the players. It's kind of hard to really put that blame on the coach sometimes. Obviously, you got to put the players in the best position to win. But when you got playoff P out there, hitting the side of the backboard, it's kind of tough. I think under regular circumstances, I keep saying this, I do truly believe that if we were under regular circumstances and the season didn't end for 4 months, if the Clippers and Nuggets had met up in the playoffs, I don't think they would have blew a 3-1 lead. I just don't think that happens. I think when you have to factor in the road and home, Clippers would have had home court advantage. I definitely believe that would have played a factor, and that would have halted any type of 3-1 comeback that would have happened. I think, you play a game 7 at home, it's pretty hard to win game 7s on the road. I think they come out with that one. But, Doc, I think the most important thing, like you said, is as long as you can get the respect of your players and you can get the best out of your players, I think you're always going to be a good coach in this league. Whether you can get over that hump, sometimes, it's the coach, and sometimes, it's the players that get those coaches over that hump and win those championships. In my personal opinion, I think the players, win the championships more than the coaches. So, but, as long as you're a leader like Doc is, someone that's well respected, I think you're always going to be a great coach in this league and have a chance. And I think he has a chance. I think he has a chip on his shoulder, especially after the way the Clippers situation ended. So it'll be real interesting to see how his job ends, in Philly.
For sure. And I think maybe just because I had my mind caught on guys like Jason Kidd and caught on guys like Tyronn Lue, younger coaches that I felt like may have connected with our younger roster, our younger superstars a little better. And also just maybe something new. Like Ty Lue, of course, he had LeBron, and Kyrie and Cleveland. But when LeBron left, it was kind of, all right, that was it for him. And then Jason Kidd, of course, the Brooklyn experiment was really bad. That's not all on J Kidd. But then he went to Milwaukee. And, he did okay there. But last year, what he did with the Lakers, he played a vital role as an assistant coach. So I thought maybe he would get a shot. But hey, I think I'm bought into Doc right now. I'm trying to be as positive as possible. But more than anything, I'm just happy with the upgrade over Brett Brown, just because it was some stuff that Brett did in terms of, putting our players in position to win that I feel like he definitely lacked. So I'm happy about that. And just what do you think this team will look like with Doc leading compared to Brett leading?
I think you'll have a team that, well, I hope, will come out and play hard, this season it'll be 72 games. I think you'll see a team that comes out and plays hard night in and night out. I think with Brett teams, we always got off the slow starts, or we were blowing leads, or we were just taking games off. I mean, our road record last year spoke for itself. I mean, we were a lottery team on the road, and we were a championship team at home. I don't think you'll see those type of inconsistencies under Doc Rivers. And I think that'll go a long way. I think, obviously, we'll talk about some of the moves that the Sixers already made. I think the fit already is better for Ben and Joel to have, be set up for more success this upcoming season. So I think Doc will, only maximize those players' potentials.
For sure, man. I'm right on board with that. Biggest thing, like we said, is just the culture. I think our guys will play harder. Doc, his teams are always kind of tough. So I think he'll definitely bring that to Philly. And again, I think Philadelphia, that's just kind of what our city is, man. We're a city with grit. We're a city of toughness, man. I don't know anything about that new Philadelphia that they were talking about, but that's not Philly.
Even paying attention to that.
You know what I mean?
He should be lucky. He should be lucky. Philly fans not going to be in attendance for games this year, because they caught him in there. He catch some hell for sure.
So I hope we can, just embody that toughness, and I think Doc can definitely bring that, right? So the thing, whenever you bring in a new head coach, whenever you kind of shift gears, I think you always got to worry about and just, take care of your superstars, right? So we have two of them. They're young guys still, Embiid is further along, but they're also two guys who have very different personalities, right? And kind of what makes them guys go. So you think Doc Rivers can get the most out of Embiid? And do you think he can get the most out of Ben and help Ben reach his potential as well?
It's really interesting. And, I'm always thinking back to his time with the Celtics. So obviously that's when he won his championship. And, I think about Kevin Garnett and even his time with the Clippers with DeAndre Jordan. I think about how he turned those guys. Well, he didn't turn KG into anybody. KG was already a terrific player, but, he won Defensive Player of the Year under Doc Rivers. He took a little backseat to offense, really focused on defense. Under DeAndre Jordan, All-Star team, first team NBA under Doc Rivers. I think it'll be interesting to see. I think if Doc Rivers can bring that Defensive Player of the Year potential out of Joel Embiid, which I know that he has, and I know that he knows that he has too. He's come out and said before that he's wanting to win Defensive Player of the Year. I think if Doc Rivers can, light that fire under him to go out and really challenge him to win Defensive Player of the Year, and obviously he's such a talented offensive player, I think the offensive numbers will come. But if you can bring the most out of him defensively, and you keep him healthy for a good chunk of the season, I think you can see Embiid, in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Obviously, if he's in that conversation and the Sixers are winning and he's doing his thing offensively as usual, I think you'll see him in that MVP conversation like he wants to as well. And, as for Ben, it's tricky because he's a really good player. Some may say even a great player right now, even without the jump shot. But, there's no denying that at some point, if you want to be that top tier player in this game, that top 5 player in this game, you might have to start shooting some jump shots eventually. I know we've seen Giannis as the back-to-back MVP, but even he gets out of his comfort zone and shoots his jumpers. But we've seen that lack of a jump shot has failed him in the postseason, to reach that goal, that ultimate goal of a ring that he wants. So, I think with Ben, it's going to be tricky, but I think Doc can bring the most out of him. I think about, Rajon Rondo, and I think his time in Boston, he was one of my favorite point guards to watch, operating out of the pick and roll, a guy that didn't have a jump shot. And I think most importantly, the 3-point shot isn't nearly as important as the free throw percentage and, a little mid-range. I think if you can get him the free throw and the mid-range, I think that'll be key for him. Forget the 3-point jump shot. I mean, if you just have to play up on him at the free throw line, because teams are just sitting in the paint waiting for him. If you have to go up and challenge him at the free throw line, I think that just ups his game to another level. But I think if Doc can put him in a Rondo type situation where he's just out there creating plays all game, I think sky's the limit for him. So I'm really excited to see how they use them this upcoming season.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of important things about, Doc Rivers as a coach. And I think it's just a great thing to have a guy who's been around so many star players, right? He's coached KG in Boston, like you said. He's coached Paul Pierce, of course. He's coached Ray Allen. He had Shaq for a year. He's coached Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. So he's been around all of these stars. And the crazy thing about all these stars is that they all have so many different personalities. KG is KG, Shaq is Shaq. Like they're dominant personalities, like even, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, right? And I think that
Definitely.
Embiid, he has a little bit of each of these guys in him. I don't think he's as intense on the court as a KG. He reminds me a little more of Shaq personality-wise. Even Blake Griffin, he reminds me a little bit of Blake Griffin as well. So I think Doc will find the right ways to motivate Embiid and get the most out of him. Because, of course, we know Embiid is very talented. We know his potential. The sky's the limit for that. But besides, of course, his injuries and his conditioning, the only thing that we want to see more out of him, Shaq always talks about it, is just him being on the floor and willing to dominate every single night. Right. So I think Doc Rivers is the perfect guy to help Embiid
I agree.
develop that intensity and just be, demand the ball and want to be as great as he can. So I think, Doc is the perfect guy for that. As for Ben, he's a more reserved guy. I don't think that he's, I think Ben can definitely up his motor because at times he just disappears. I feel like, that's the thing with Ben Simmons. Like you said, at times he's in Giannis's, category in terms of his play on the court. He could have 40-point triple doubles.
The skill level is there for him to do literally everything that Giannis does.
Exactly.
It's all about the aggressiveness. He doesn't go out looking to dunk on your head every play, and that's something that Giannis will most certainly do.
Yeah, so I think Doc can find ways to motivate these stars. I feel like you're reading a book right now about, about the processing. And the thing was, I think Brett, he wasn't really sure how to, to come at these guys or how to talk to these guys. You know what I mean? So
how to challenge them.
Exactly.
Hold them accountable.
Exactly. So Doc Rivers is a guy, everyone around the league respects him. Any room he walks in, people listen. So I think he'll demand that respect and that, our young guys, Ben and Joel, of course, and I also think they're maturing as well. Like I think, we kind of saw it last year with Joel. I wasn't, thrilled with the new Joel Embiid last year because I feel like, when he's having fun, that's when he's his best self. Right. But, I think just finding ways for him to stay engaged and for him to believe and continue to trust the process. This is a new process we're trusting now. But I think once Embiid is bought into what we're doing, things will look up for us.
Definitely. And, Doc Rivers, when he was introduced as the new coach, he did say the process was dead. But for me, the process will always be ongoing until I'm on Broad Street celebrating a championship, double fisted Hennies. That's when we can say the process is over.
Yeah, and we need Sam Hinkie on Broad Street in that celebration as well.
Oh my God, he would get trampled. Everyone would be grabbing him, trying to get pictures and hugs. Oh my goodness, Sam Hinkie and Daryl Morey. Yeah, that's like
Geniuses.
That's the father and son duo we originally needed, not
Geniuses.
Jerry and Brian Colangelo.
We'll maybe get to Colangelo and a burner and all that stuff in another episode, but I'm gonna just stay along the lines of leadership, man. So last year, Elton Brand, the Elton Brand experiment was kind of a fail. Don't get me wrong, I think Elton Brand did bring some good things to the organization, but not really in a personnel position. So now Daryl Morey is in the house. And he's already making some major moves for us. I know you're a big fan of Daryl Morey. So when are you hot, cold, or indifferent? Like, how are you feeling overall about this move for us?
I'm sizzling hot on this move, man. When I saw that he was stepping down from the Rockets, I was just like, man, is there just a sliver of hope, just a little chance that we somehow get him? And it's just crazy how this offseason had worked out for us. I mean, we were just down bad. We were looking like a joke of a franchise in front office, more specifically, especially with letting Jimmy go, and now he's fighting in the finals and looking like a superstar. So it was tough, but lo and behold, we get Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers, and I mean, I'm just ecstatic about it. I don't know, I can't really think of like 3 to 4 guys that have a resume like him and has done the things that he's done for teams and building teams over the years and surrounding his best player with pieces to try to help them move forward in the playoffs. So, I think it can only go up from here, as we can see with the moves that he's made already. He's finding complementary pieces for Ben and Joel Embiid, which is something that's just taken this organization way too long to do, and he's done it in a few short weeks of being with the team. And I think things are finally looking up. I think we finally have some stability within the front office, some guys with some basketball knowledge that we can actually trust to make the right decisions. And that's exciting for all fans.
Yeah, definitely. We were lacking guys that I feel like we're in position to really make quality moves to put our team in the best position to win. Right. And the thing about Daryl Morey, like you said, it's about him not being afraid to go out there and do something different. Right. Not being afraid to be innovative. Right. Say what you want about the Rockets last year. The 5 and out was a wild experiment, but it's what worked for them. Right. And it's because he tailored that roster to his talent. James Harden, Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. I mean, he went on a tear once they traded Capella. I mean, he maximized Russ's talent, within that scheme. I mean, when Russ and Harden were together and they had Capella, they would win games, of course. I mean, you got 2 players that good, you're going to win games. But, bigger picture wise, obviously they didn't go on to win the championship, but, they had a better chance in the postseason going forward because of that move than not.
Yeah. I remember like the Lakers series, right? People had that series going 7 games just because the Rockets gave the Lakers something that they really couldn't prepare for, right? Yeah. They had something that no one in the league really could match just because their style was so different. And of course, Sixers will be different because our best player is a center. So we won't be doing 5 and out, but we already see the moves that he's making now are to surround Ben Simmons or to surround Joel Embiid to succeed. We need guys around them that can shoot the ball. We need guys around them that can, play make. So I think Daryl Morey, I'm really hot on the move as well. I'm excited. I think we're going in the right direction. So I'm really, really, hyped to see, what comes from, this at the end of this offseason.
Yeah, man. It's such a short offseason too. That's what makes it even better. It's like it's just hitting you move after move after move. I think if we would have had the regular offseason, I'd still be angry right now.
It's crazy, man. Like, it's really moving so fast. Like, again, we were in the playoffs, but I still just feel like we knew we had no shot, man, especially when Ben got hurt. It's just like the bubble just
Okay,
was
well,
a
next
throwaway.
season,
Exactly. So,
definitely.
and like you said, the dominoes have fallen perfectly for us right now. Like landing Doc, you know, not often do you get a guy, like you said, a top 5 to 10 guy who's let go of after, being in the Western Conference semifinals. You know what I mean? So that landed into
Definitely.
our lap. And then Daryl Morey again, he was a playoff GM, right? And we get him as our team president. So like things have been falling, right in line for us. So I think that moving forward, we have the pieces in place in the front office. We finally have some guys that I think, will provide us with some stability and know what type of direction we need to go in. And now it's all about just putting the guys on the floor and then trusting the coaches. Doc is already putting together a great coaching staff, right? He has guys with
Amazing
head
coaching
coaching
staff.
experience. He has guys like young guys like Sam Cassell who can connect with Ben Simmons and things of that nature. So I'm real excited to see, what unfolds this season for us.
Yeah, man. Like you said, the coaching staff, I'm excited for that too. They got Dan Burke from Indiana. A lot of people around the league, call him a defensive guru, which I'm excited about because I thought last year defensively we weren't as good as we could have been, even though Ben Simmons, was spectacular on defense that entire year. But I think we can really take it up a notch on defense this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the coaching staff, coaches up defense this year because last year we all know the pick and roll guards, they would just eat us apart every game. And same thing every time. We're just backing off. We're just letting guards just rhythm jumpers all game, just rhythm jumpers. And that's how we would lose half of our games. We would just give bad teams confidence because we just let their guards just come up and, take 10 free throw line jumpers wide open. And fourth quarter, you can't stop them because now they're too hot. So, I'm looking forward to, I think we'll be a way more aggressive defense this upcoming year. And I'm looking forward to that.
For sure, man. For sure. Now, let's just dive into a little bit of personnel, right? Our roster last year, I don't know what Elton Brand was thinking. I don't know if he thought it was, if he was still playing or what, if it was the late 90s, early 2000s, but the Al Horford experiment was a big fail. We paid Al,
Disaster.
so much money to come in. And again, Al Horford was so, he gave us a lot of troubles in the playoffs when he was with Boston. So maybe, hey, we take him away and B doesn't have, much to worry about. But, that experiment blew up in our face. But already, Morey got rid of him. I remember we were waiting. As soon as that, as soon as noon came, we were waiting for that Al
Yeah.
Horford trade to come. The Al Horford trade came. We bring in Danny Green. We also get Terrence Ferguson from OKC. What's your initial thoughts on moving Al and bringing in Danny Green and Terrence Ferguson, 2 guys that could make an impact on our team?
To be honest, at first I just had to sit back and laugh at it. We signed Al Horford to a 4-year, $109 million deal. We end up trading him. Not only do we have to trade him, but we trade him and a first round pick and the second round pick. For a role player, Danny Green and Ferguson, they're nice guys. They'll definitely fit. I'm definitely excited to have them on the team, but they're just role players. It hurts that we used our cap space that way, and we had to make a move like this just to get rid of it. But we finally made the move. We got rid of him. That's all that matters. Daryl Morey, first season he's already making moves, so I'm excited about that. I'm happy. He just didn't fit with the team. It was never a good fit. I never thought it was a good fit. When Jimmy left, I didn't understand it. When JJ Redick left, when they let him walk, I didn't understand that. We were letting go of all our shooting. You bring in Al, he's quote unquote, I guess, an Embiid stopper or whatever. But you don't add any more shooting. You don't replace the shooting that you let walk. So it was just a bad fit. We didn't have any guys that could create their own shots. It was just tough. No space and no shot creation, no playmaking outside of Ben Simmons. So it was just a recipe for disaster, to be honest.
Yeah, man. So Al, he had to go. That's kind of where we all were at with it. Like Al Horford, as long as he was gone,
And he
that was
probably
a
knew
win.
that too.
Yeah. So I think that was, priority number one was to clear up some cap space, get rid of Al Horford and, just move on, right? Because we had to get into 2020. We don't need to be paying $110 million to a backup center. We just don't.
No.
It's just not necessary. So I think Danny Green, hopefully he refines that shooting stroke. Because I just need him to, shoot 40% from three. I think he can do that because playing with Ben, but I don't know, because playing with LeBron, he was getting
played
wide
with
open
LeBron,
shots.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
and
playing with Ben Simmons, I know he'll get some wide open shots. So maybe he just needs some confidence, get the confidence back. He's a champion.
yeah. I mean, he got another ring, so maybe
Yeah.
he'll come back, with some more swagger, and he'll definitely get his fair of open shots. Playing now that we have the space and with Embiid and Ben, I definitely think on post ups and in transition, they'll find him. He'll get some open shots. So like you said, hopefully he can shoot a good percentage for us because when we get shooters, we rarely do get shooters, but when we do, they shoot at least 10 percentage points below their average. So hopefully that trend can go the other way now.
Facts. And Ferguson as well. I guess he was kind of a throw-in or afterthought for that many people, see throwing into that. But I think Ferguson could be a good rotation guy for us. He's a good defender.
Definitely.
He can guard ones, twos, and threes. So I think he definitely adds some value. He's improving as a shooter. I'm not counting on him, but he's
popped in
improving as
some
a shooter.
games for OKC this season.
Yeah.
I definitely think he's going to be. He can, if he's in the rotation, if they don't flip him for something else, who knows what Maury the God is going to do with with all these assets. We'll see, but I definitely think he can be a solid rotational player. If he stays with the team.
Yep. And just recently, we got Steph Curry. This news just broke during the draft. So we giving up Josh Richardson, who was our starting 2 guard last year. But we're giving up Josh Richardson. We gave up our second round draft pick, and we're bringing in Steph Curry, the son-in-law of Doc Rivers. So a family affair, you know what I mean? But what do you think,
we need
Steph Curry? You know what I mean? I think, hey, bring Austin over. I think he'd be a great backup point guard.
I don't think they want to play. Doc and Austin want to be with each other again.
But what do you think
on my list of free agents?
Hey, I'm not. I wouldn't be mad at that. I think he'll be a great backup point guard for us.
Definitely.
Yeah, but what do you think Steph Curry, brings to this roster?
Oh my God, he brings shooting, playmaking, everything we need. I mean, he can pull up off the pick and roll. He can spot up, shoot in transition. He can secondary play make out the pick and roll. He can be the backup point if we need him to be. He can be a scorer. He can come off screens like JJ if we need him to be. I just think I really like this move. Josh was somebody that I think he was maybe a little underrated, more so just because he was asked to do some things that I just don't think are his strengths. He wasn't really put in a position to really play to his strengths like we saw in the playoffs. And you might see a lot of people say that Josh played terrible in the playoffs, but you look back and think about it. You got a guy that's playing. He was out there playing point guard. Some possessions, and that's not him. He's not a point guard. He's not a playmaker. He's a streaky shooter at best. He can knock down some open shots. He can handle the ball a little bit. He can do some things, but he's a gritty defender that can get out and run, and knock down some open shots. He's not a bad player, but I definitely think the spacing that Curry brings would definitely be a lot more valuable than what we got from Richardson this past season. And I'm excited for that. Ben and Curry on the fast break. I'm looking forward to those dishes, the corner threes. I'm just excited. We have so many shooters on the team. I don't even know what to do. I just look and I say, he can shoot. We haven't been able to do that in a long time. I don't know if that.
It's been a minute, man. Definitely been a while since the Sixers have had some shooters on the court. So the Steph Curry move, I think, is really big, like you said. Just his versatility in terms of playing on the ball, playing off the ball, shooting spot ups, coming off the screens, shooting off the dribble. So I think he'll definitely add a lot of value and add some firepower to that offense. He played great last year next to Luka, right? So I'm not saying Ben is, a Luka, but I think they have similar games in terms of how they navigate with the ball and offense and kind of create. So I think that, Steph Curry has that experience playing with a guy like Luka, playing with a, athletic and versatile big like Porzingis that he played with last year. Embiid has a similar skill set on offense. You know what I mean? But so I think Curry has been around guys that he can play well off of, and I think Ben and Embiid are 2 guys that will play great with him. I'll miss Josh Richardson
played with Dame in Portland too.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so he's been
He's
able
got
to
he's
step
got a
in.
great feel for the game. So
Hmm.
I think when you pair him with guys like Embiid, Simmons, guys that are gonna command a double team, I think he's a perfect plug-in guy that's gonna play well, knock down shots, make plays for others. Really great trade. I love it.
No doubt. So definitely the two areas I feel like, well, the one area that we really needed to focus on was of course shooting, right? So we got Danny Green, we got Seth Curry, we got rid of Al Horford, got rid of Josh Richardson, two guys that kind of clogged the paint or limited our stars. Are there any other areas you feel like the Sixers should address in free agency or through a trade?
I mean, it'll be interesting. I wonder if they'll go after another backup point guard. Obviously, I don't know if Seth Curry, if they plan to start Seth Curry, bring him off the bench. We'll see whatever they do with him. It definitely wouldn't hurt to add another point guard. Jeff Teague is out there, and that'd be a nice veteran point guard. We talked about Austin Rivers already. DJ Augustine's a name that's come up. Sources, rumors around with Philadelphia. That'd be a really nice move as a backup point guard. I just think Ben and Embiid, I think as a talents, they can grow into superstars that can lead you to championships. And we've seen with LeBron and Anthony Davis, obviously not calling Ben and Embiid LeBron and AD, but those are guys with similar skill sets. LeBron, freak of nature, obviously can't compare Ben Simmons to him, but just skill set wise, 6'8", 6'9", can't stop in transition, amazing playmaker, can run an offense. AD, just automatic bucket down low, mismatch on any given night. So, I think if you just surround those guys with complementary pieces that fit, can knock down shots, can play their role, got no ego involved, I think you're giving yourself a chance. So, and I think they want to give Ben and Embiid every chance to play together and try to mesh and see if they can win at this thing. And I think for the first time, probably since the first year they played together, they have a good team with fits around them that'll make those other guys better. So not only will Ben and Embiid make the shooters better, but they'll also open up the game for Embiid and Ben to dominate.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll probably try to add one more point guard, but we did draft Maxey in the first round, so I think he can kind of fill in that role as well. Seth Curry, both Seth and Maxey are kind of combo guards. They can play ones or twos. They're kind of
Yeah.
undersized to guard twos, so they can maybe guard ones, and then maybe we'll have Matisse and we'll have Ben and those guys maybe guard the twos or threes. Danny Green also
Danny
can
Green's
guard
out
twos and
there.
threes as well. So
Yeah.
I think we have some options that we can go after in terms of that. Like I love DJ Augustine. I think he would bring some great versatility and allow the Steph Currys and allow Maxey to move off the ball and also allow Ben to
Definitely.
play the four. And he's also a
Mm-hmm.
vet. Goran Dragic is another guy that's out there. I think he may be a little out of our
First
too
round.
expensive for us,
Yeah.
but that would be a great pickup for us if possible. And also Avery Bradley, I think he has a player option in LA, but his ability to play defense, I think he's familiar with Doc, and then just his ability to knock down open threes. So I think someone like him, but also think we need to add a backup center. We got rid of Al Horford, but we need someone else to kind of back up Embiid and play some valuable minutes. So there's guys out there. Aaron Baines is out there. I think
Yeah.
he may be someone that fits well. Tristan Thompson, he may be a little too expensive, but we'll see. Serge
Nerlens
Ibaka,
is out there.
Nerlens Noel. I've seen the Nerlens Noel rumors that he
Might
could
might be
be
might be
reuniting.
might be time for him to come back home.
You know what I mean?
A
So
guy that can run the floor, protect the rim, catch lobs while spell some minutes for Embiid. That'll be perfect. He won't cost $109 million, so
mhm.
that's already an upgrade. I think another person that I think the Sixers should maybe look at, Jeff Green. I thought he played really well in Houston last year. I thought any given night, most nights he could have been their third best player, on their team. He was knocking down shots. He gets to the bucket. So I think as a backup big, can play maybe some stretch five. Definitely played a four. I think that could be a nice little backup big that the Sixers can look into. And Justin Holiday, nice little 3-and-D wing. Can never have too many of those. Shot 40% from three last year. So, gritty defender, definitely a Philly guy. If we could, get him, I think that'd be nice too. Definitely a lot of nice guys out there that we can get, freed up some cap too with this owl move. That's another huge thing about the deal is that we freed up some cap. I mean, I didn't know if we were going to be able to make any free agent offers this offseason with Tobias and Al Horford contracts on the books. So, Morey is I just can't say enough. I could cry right now. It's just I'm just so happy.
We're getting emotional on episode 1 of the Sixers Brawl.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like you said, we have some options. We have a lot of options. Like this free agency class, say what you want about it. There's not much star power because AD is probably going back to LA. Of course, I'm almost 100% sure of that. Brandon Ingram is probably going to end up back in New Orleans. Fred VanVleet, he may be the highest paid guy to come out of this class. Gordon Hayward, who possibly could go somewhere else as well. But, there's not much elite talent in this free agency class, but there are a lot of role players. There are a lot of guys that can contribute and add to these contenders. And I think the Sixers are in prime position to make those moves, right? Even a guy like Gallinari, I think whoever he goes to, they're getting the guy who's going to come in. So I think he's, again, out of our price range. But
yeah,
man, I wish we had the money to pay a Gallinari. But
definitely.
Yeah. We need Tobias Harris to step up too. We haven't talked about him at all. We need him to be the guy he was before.
I definitely believe Doc Rivers, who, he had his best year under Doc Rivers, the 21-9 before we traded for him. I definitely think Doc can bring the most out of him. I think we'll see him go back to the 4 spot, which I think he plays much better in. I think the floor is spaced better. I think, he doesn't have to worry too much about, matching up with threes. He can take advantage of 4s, and mismatches. And I think he's really good at that. So I think him being back at the 4 automatically is just a little bit of an improvement from him. And I think Doc will find ways to, make it look like he's earning that $180 million. So, I'm happy about, having Doc and Toby back together. I think if Doc wasn't here, I think, I would have been definitely shopping Toby around. But with Doc here, if we don't move him, I definitely believe that Doc is going to get the best out of him again. And I think we'll see that Tobias that we thought we were getting when we initially traded him from the Los Angeles Clippers.
For sure. And the thing is, he fits with Ben. He fits with Embiid, right? So that's the thing I was kind of confused about last year. It's just like, where did he disappear to? Especially in the playoffs, he really disappeared. So I think
in the playoffs, he was really bad.
Yeah.
But, I do think that he'll be a much better throughout the season playing. You'll see him playing when he's playing at the 4 versus playing the 3. I think it'll just be a whole lot better flow. I think it was just, when you really think about it, just Ben doesn't shoot. Tobias is more of a mid-range shooter, post-up guy. And then you had 2 other centers on the court. And, then you had Josh Richardson, who's like a streaky shooter. Like, I don't know how they scored 100 in, some games. Like, the spacing was just so bad. I don't understand how teams didn't just load up like they do in the playoffs, and we probably wouldn't have won a game.
That is true, man. That's true. So definitely looking forward to Tobias Harris to, get back into the guy that we think he can be. And we'll see what Morey continues to do throughout this offseason. But what's your ideal lineup, for the Sixers? Or what's your, give me your 8-man rotation. You can, take into account the guys we already have on the roster or, add your targets from free agency.
Okay. All right, let's see. I'll do my starting lineup. I'll have Ben, probably Seth Curry. Maybe if we keep it Danny Green, I guess we'll go Danny Green, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. I like that. Definitely an upgrade from last year. And then I guess you'll have Matisse, Maxey. If I had to pick a free agent, I'd like DJ Augustine. And then I guess we need a backup big, either Nerlens or Jeff Green. So a backup center for sure. Somebody in there. But that would be my 8 right there.
Yeah, that's pretty much mine too. I'm a big Shake Milton fan myself. I'm a believer
Uh,
in Shake. I think Shake will be
we
in the rotation, bro.
we can shake it. We can shake him up out the lineup. That's what we can do with him. Yeah, I don't have.
uh
I don't want people. I don't want people to think I hate Shake. I just, he had a couple of good games when Ben and Bede were hurt, and Sixers Twitter just went crazy, and I was confused why everyone thought he was the savior. But he's shown flashes, so hopefully, I think if he can improve over this off season, I definitely think he can be a valuable bench piece. But he shouldn't touch the starting
I got you. Yeah, so I
lineup.
mean the fact that he started games, and maybe Brett Brown was just a huge Shake guy, but he started Shake at point guard and moved, Ben to the forward once we came back. So that's why I just think Shake probably will be in the rotation. Maxey is a young guy. Again, I'm very high on Tyrese Maxey, but my thought for a lot of these young rookies are that a lot of these guys probably won't play much this year, just because they won't even have a full training camp. They won't have a summer league and all that. So maybe
Sure,
Maxey will, maybe around
might take him
February
some
or
time.
March. Yeah, maybe February or
Yeah,
March he'll crack into the rotation. And I'm not really, Doc hasn't really played a lot of younger guys. He did have Shea and Shamit and with
hmm
the Clippers for that one season, but outside of that, he didn't really, he's not really he's used to having veteran teams. So I'm not sure, how patient he'll be in terms of, playing guys like Maxey, especially because the Sixers should be in win now mode. And so that's why I think Shake will be a guy that can add something off the bench. And then Ferguson, I think, could be, in that rotation. And Matisse as well. I think he
definitely.
needs to have a big year for us. Matisse kind
Yeah,
of, he kind of
and
slowed down in the second
hmm
half of the season, especially with his shooting.
yeah, and the front office deemed him as untouchable. So, if you're going to be an untouchable, you better play like an untouchable. And I love Matisse. I think if he improves his jump shot, I think he shot like 36, 37% from three last year. You know, Definitely not on a lot of attempts, but if he can up his attempts, get more minutes on the court, improve his 3-point shot, I definitely think he's a valuable piece because his defensively, as where he was as a rookie defensively, that's just insane. You normally don't see guys come in and be able to play defense and get after it the way he does. And he's already, in my opinion, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. So you have him and Ben, and if he can improve his jump shot, it just makes everything better, opens up the court for those guys, and gives him more minutes.
For sure. And you just said it, the front office have deemed him untouchable, right? So this offseason, a lot has been swirling with the trade talks, especially, the Sixers name have been coming up with some high profile guys. Most notably, James Harden. Who knows what happened in Houston? Daryl Morey probably knows, but he's not saying anything. He got out of there. Mike D'Antoni, they got out of there, right? So Sixers, we feel like we are moving in the right direction. We feel like Doc Rivers is helping establish some culture. We feel like Daryl Morey is, bringing some great energy into that organization. We feel like we have our two cornerstones and Ben and Embiid. Me and you, we feel like we should at least keep these guys together with a staff and with a front office that supports them, right? So I'm not ready to give up on Ben and Joel, but we do hear the rumors about James Harden possibly, coming to Philly in some type of trade. Like, how do you feel about that? Do you want James Harden, even if that means giving up a guy like Ben Simmons?
I think about this a lot, and players like James Harden just don't grow on trees. I think personally, I think if you have a chance to get him, as long as you're not mortgaging your future, I think you have to pull the trigger. If that means giving up Ben Simmons, I would probably do it, but I totally understand the organization's viewpoint of giving Embiid and Simmons a chance to work things out, and with actual complementary pieces next to them, try to go after it, with those two pieces. Because we tanked for years to get those pieces. Like Sam Hinkie said, what we went through to get those guys. So to just give them away like that, it would be a little bittersweet. Part of me wants that championship with those two guys and no one else. But, when you got a chance to get somebody like James Harden, who's a walking 30-point per game scorer, not many of those come around every year, I think you have to at least think about it.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about Markelle Fultz yet with Sixers Brawl. Well, we may devote an entire episode to Markelle Fultz. But I just can go back to that draft when we selected Markelle Fultz #1. And it's a, direct reflection of this conversation, because if Markelle Fultz is the guy we think he is, if Markelle Fultz is Jason Tatum, right, I don't even think we would be having this conversation. You know what I mean?
No,
but
not at all.
James Harden is a once in a generational player.
Definitely.
But me personally, I just don't think that he would be the right fit for this Sixers team. I don't think Embiid will be able to reach his full potential playing with James Harden. Don't get me wrong. I think they could play together, but I think it would extremely limit Embiid's efficiency and, just how impactful he can be. And then also think you kind of just got to throw out everyone else, because just the style James Harden plays.
Yeah, I'm interested, when he does get traded, if he gets traded, especially if he goes to Brooklyn, how that works with two other superstars. But like you said, he's been for the last 2-3 years, just been this ISO scorer that brings the ball up every court, just dribble, dribble, dribble for 15 seconds. If they double, he'll pass. If they don't, he's shooting. So, obviously, you would hope if he got traded to the Sixers, playing under Doc Rivers, they'd find a different way to utilize him other than, an ISO 50% of the game. I would hope, obviously, I think if it's a situation where he comes to Philly and he feels like that's the only play style that he can play, yeah, I don't think that would work with, him having a low post center that needs the ball down low. I definitely don't think that'll work. But, if they can get him to buy in and, play a little bit off the ball, let Embiid, dominate down low, get touches, and, not feel like you need to score 40 a night to win games. I think it could work out and it could possibly be special. But, I definitely want, as a Sixers fan, to give this Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid thing a shot, because I just feel like at least we deserve it. We deserve a chance to see, go down with the ship. I'm sinking with the ship, until it's all the way at the bottom of the ocean. So we'll see how it goes. But I trust Morey now, with the front office intact the way it is. I just actually have faith. I couldn't say this last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an original truster of the process myself, so that's kind of why I want to see this thing play out. I want to see Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid,
we didn't go through all that pain for years.
Exactly. I want to see them have that. I want to see them have that parade on Broad Street, man. Like, that's kind of what I want to see. But like you said, maybe we do need to trust Daryl Morey. I think he knows James Harden more than anyone else in terms of, where he fits and what type of roster, he can play with. Because he wasn't always that guy, and I don't think James Harden's a bad teammate. He's
we saw
of course
him in
had
OKC
trouble
with Russ and KD and those guys. He was playing off the ball, on the ball. Like, it's kind of like shocking to me that he's turned into this, just super ball dominant guy. He is what people like say Melo was in Denver and New York, and that's not even close to the case. The way James Harden gets his ISO possessions in, but like you said, I definitely think he has the ability to play off ball. I think he just needs other players on the team around him that he can trust that to do things with the basketball, when the ball's not in his hands.
Yeah. And he's a willing passer at that too. Like, he's a great passer.
Yeah.
He led
always
led the league in
assists,
assists, top 2 or 3 in assists.
Yeah.
So he's a guy, he can make the right plays, but it's just like we're so used to him, especially these last few years, just seeing him dominate the ball. So I'm kind of afraid to see what will happen in Philly. And if he does come to Philly, like you said, we're throwing away a lot of these assets, man. Like, Ben's leaving, and probably the rest of our, number 1 picks that we'll have down, next few years. So I'm not really ready to give up on that and put all of our eggs into the James Harden basket. I'm just not.
That's fair. I think if we got a chance, I don't know, man. I think if you got somebody that can get you 35 a night to go along with Joel Embiid, I just think in the Eastern Conference, especially, I just think that'll be a tough duo to beat.
For sure. Well, we got like a little over a month until the season starts. Of course, some
It's gonna be a
trades
beautiful Christmas.
it will. Of course, some trades may happen. Who knows, man? 2020 is full of surprises. So who knows? James Harden
For
could
sure.
land. 2020, James Harden could land in Philly. But just to wrap things up with episode 1, just give me your prediction for the season, and what do you envision the Sixers doing this year?
You know, Milwaukee made a really nice move getting Drew Holiday. Obviously, you're gonna have to contend with Brooklyn and Kyrie and KD. Miami, fresh off a finals berth. Jimmy's gonna be coming back hungry. It'll be interesting. Boston will obviously might be back in the mix. Toronto's still in there. Can't count them out. I don't know really where I want to place this Sixers team yet. I think it's still too early. I want to see where the rest of the roster, falls into place. But I could see. I think we'll improve upon last year simply just because of just the fit that's on the roster now, the coaching staff that we have now, the front office stability. I think we'll improve next year. I think you'll see us be probably a top 3-4 team, because I think when you have Ben Simmons and Embiid and that duo in the Eastern Conference, I think you should at least be a top 3 or 4 team. Now that we have complementary pieces, I think I have more faith in us to be a more consistent team. So I see us being a top 3-4 team in the East. I'm not ready to call us a championship contender yet because of, Brooklyn, Milwaukee. Even though Milwaukee, I think they still have the same issues. We'll see what Giannis can do next postseason. It's kind of gotten to that point where regular season doesn't matter for Giannis. We got to see you do it in the postseason. So, there's always that chance. But, right now I think the Nets are the favorite in the East. And, after that, I think, you can throw the Sixers, anywhere in that, 2, 3, 4 range. And, if things go better than expected, maybe we can make an Eastern Conference Finals, shock some people. But as of right now, I'm not ready to thrust us into that championship conversation yet.
I'm on the fence with it as well. I'm afraid to see how good the Nets can be. I think Steve Nash is a brilliant hire. I think he can really help Kyrie and KD, figure out this new place and figure out this relationship and how it'll work. And I also think KD and Kyrie are, they're very similar in a lot of ways, and I think they'll relate to each other better than KD has related to Russ, better than KD has really related to Steph and Clay. I think him and Kyrie are very similar in who they are. And Mike D'Antoni is the perfect guy to add next to a young coach like Steve Nash.
That was an amazing move.
You know what I mean? So he'll definitely help them. And the Nets are my favorite in the East. But I think that, Milwaukee, they're a great regular season team. They'll continue to be a great regular season team. Coach Bud over there, he has it figured out. He knows how to win games. Even when Giannis doesn't play, they still win games, right? So I think Brook Lopez is having a resurgence as of late. So I don't know what got into him. Drew Holiday, one of my favorite players in the league, one of the most underrated players in the league. He's a guy, he's a huge upgrade. They gave away Bledsoe and George Hill for him, which was huge. But I think Drew Holiday, he'll be the perfect guy next to Giannis and Middleton. Like, that's a, lethal big three. You can even add Lopez into that as well. So they have some guys that scare me. But then I also look at Miami, who they really overachieved last year. And I think they're only going to get better with Bam and Hero, because they're young guys, Kendrick Nunn. What Miami does in the offseason
contributed last year.
Exactly. So Miami, they're going to make some moves this offseason as well in terms of free agency, because who doesn't want to go play in Miami? Who doesn't want to play for Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I think Jimmy Butler, say what you want about him, he can bring out the best in players. He did it with Embiid in Philly. He did it with Bam. He did it with Hero. He kind of takes these young guys under his wing and he leads. So I'm a little bit, scared of Miami. And then Toronto is another team that always creeps in the Eastern Conference. So the Sixers,
they might not be playing in Canada this year. So that's advantage Sixers.
Yeah. So it's just like, if we reach our full potential, I think we would probably go into the playoffs as a 3 seed. But in the playoffs, I think if we're a 3 seed and maybe say Miami falls to 6, and the Pacers, maybe 5 or something like that, right? So it's gonna be all about the matchup. I don't want to play Miami in the playoffs. I don't want to play Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. Milwaukee, I'd rather play Milwaukee in the playoffs. So I think it'll be kind of our seeding and if we get nice matchups. But I don't know if we're there yet to be able to beat Kevin Durant in the playoffs, to beat Kyrie Irving in the playoffs. But
We still got to see where Kevin Durant. We still got to see where KD is at too. Kyrie's got to stay healthy for an entire season. So there's definitely still some question marks with Brooklyn, but if they're all healthy, yeah, I mean it's going to be tough to beat Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in a 7-game series.
yeah, no doubt. No doubt, man. So I'm hoping that Doc Rivers can spark some excitement. Spark
Trust in Doc.
Yeah, man, that's kind of just what it is, and we'll see what Embiid does this year. If he can stay healthy, of course, that's huge for him as well. With a shortened off season, so hopefully he can stay as healthy as
Hopefully he's been
possible.
putting in that work.
Hopefully, and then I think Ben will have a good year. He has a lot to prove this year too, because I don't think he expected his name to be up in trade talks and things like that. So maybe that'll motivate him to improve and be the best him he could be.
Yeah, hopefully. And I mean, the Sixers, they said they're, not willing to trade him. So, hopefully there's a little bit of comfort there with him. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder. I just think with Doc coming in, just breathing new air, fresh air into this organization. I'm just really excited for this upcoming season.
It's gonna be a good one, bro. Like you said, I'm just ready for it.
It's a shame we can't get to any games this year.
I know, man. And I'll just leave this off, this episode off. We'll just kind of say our favorite memory as Sixer fans. Me and you, we've been to a few games together. Again, we've been trusted with the processes. We've been in the dark ages. We used to go to the games in high school. Get some $5-10 tickets when no one was in the crowd. So we've been loyal Sixers fans. But what's your favorite memory as a Philadelphia 76ers fan?
Man, I have to go all the way back to when I was probably about 10 years old, maybe. I went to a Sixers game. My dad took me. We had box office seats. Allen Iverson was still on the team. So, that was, he was always a great player to watch in person, always gave it his all. And then after the game, I had the honor of, being able to go onto the court, got to shoot on the court. Met Andre Iguodala. Iguodala signed my tickets. Shout out to
Okay.
Iggy. I still have those tickets here that he signed. So that'll always be one of my favorite memories. Got pictures on the court. So always love my Sixers, man. That'll always be one of my favorite memories. Getting on that court, shooting a basketball, meeting Iguodala. Seeing Allen Iverson play. Definitely, my favorite memory is the Sixer. I'll always never forget that one.
I got you, man. That's a special moment, man. Nothing like family, nothing like Sixers basketball, nothing like AI as well. So definitely a great memory, man.
Yes, sir.
For myself,
what about you?
I'll take it in two directions. The first one, of course, I was, very, very young, being about 5 years old when we played the Lakers in the NBA finals. Of course, so AI, getting us there, the MVP, of course, winning game one, nothing like it. Of course, the stuff over Tyronn Lue.
Legendary.
It's just legendary, bro. So I was so young to remember and be in the, be in that heat of the moment there. But, I remember, the energy that was around the city. AI gave us life. We, of course,
we need that again.
Bro, you know what I mean? We had life. Like AI, he was Philly. You know what I mean? He was, everyone wanted to be like AI. I even had braids in elementary school, right? Every basketball team I was on, I wanted number 3. I had the sneakers and everything.
I tried to get braids before because of AI. I didn't go through with it because I couldn't grow my hair out. I couldn't deal with the combing and all of that. My mom was a little bit too rough with the combing. You know how black moms be with the combing hair. So I couldn't even do that. I said, you know what, I'm cutting it. I can't do the AI look.
Exactly.
But the sleeves and all that, yeah, man. AI was just so revolutionary, man, for the game and icon.
Never, nothing like Allen Iverson, man. He's once in a lifetime player, once in a lifetime figure of the game. So AI, it was great. But I'll just finish it off with a recent memory, man. Eastern Conference semifinals, 2019.
Yeah,
Joel Embiid, the windmill dunk versus the Rafters, man.
that's probably my second favorite memory.
The
I
windmill
mean,
dunk, the airplane.
the building was shaking. The building was shaking. I
We was in the
literally felt
building,
it
bro.
shake.
We were in
I
the
felt it
building,
shake,
man.
man. It was amazing. It was
So
electric, man.
that's the most exciting game that I've been to in my life. It's really nothing like it, bro. Nothing matched that atmosphere, playoff atmosphere.
Yeah.
Of course, we were, a Kawhi Leonard painful shot away from the finals, in my opinion, because we were going to beat the Bucks. I already know that, but that windmill moment would have been even sweeter if we won that series. But I mean, we absolutely dominated that game.
There will be some more playoff windmills.
Oh yeah,
and hopefully we'll finish off those series with a W.
for sure. But that's about it. I mean, that wraps up episode 1 of Sixers Brawl on the Brawl Network. First of many. Trusting the process with Sixers Brawl, trusting the process, Sixers Nation, man. Stay tuned. We got a lot in store for y'all. I'm very excited to be on this platform with my brother Darnell.
Yes, sir.
We're out.